What if your body already had the blueprint to heal itself? It just needed the right signal to activate it. Most people dealing with torn tendons, chronic joint pain, or slow muscle recovery are stuck in a cycle. Ice, rest, painkillers, repeat. But underneath that routine, there's a category of compounds that researchers, military units, and elite athletes have quietly been using for years. They're called peptides, and the way they interact with your body's healing process is unlike anything in conventional medicine. Today we're going deep. Not the surface level. BPC 157 is good for gut health. Content you've already seen. We're talking mechanisms, stacking, timing, and the peptides most people have never even heard of. Let's get into it. First, a quick foundation. Peptides are short chains of amino acids. Think of them as smaller, more targeted versions of proteins. Your body already produces them naturally. What makes therapeutic peptides interesting is that they mimic or amplify your body's own signaling molecules, the chemical messages that tell your cells to repair, grow, or reduce inflammation. They don't force your body to do something foreign. They remind it of what it already knows how to do. Now let's talk about the ones that actually matter for recovery. And it starts with a peptide called BPC157. Yes, BPC157 is the most well-known, but most people only know half the story. BPC stands for Body Protection Compound. It's a 15 amino acid peptide derived from a protein found in gastric juice, your stomach. It was originally studied for gut protection, but researchers quickly noticed something remarkable. It was accelerating tendon-to-bone healing at a rate that didn't make sense on paper. Here's the part most people miss. BPC157 works by upregulating a growth factor called VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor. VEGF is the signal your body uses to build new blood vessels into damaged tissue. No blood vessels means no healing. BPC157 essentially fast-tracks the construction of that new blood supply. Studies in animal models showed it heals Achilles tendons, torn rotator cuffs, ligament damage, and even severed nerves, not just slowing the damage but actively reversing it. What's lesser known, BPC157 also modulates dopamine and serotonin pathways, which is why some users report mood stabilization during injury recovery. A period. That's notoriously hard mentally. Dosing used in research, 250 to 500 micrograms per day injected subcutaneously under the skin near the injury site or taken orally for gut-related healing. But TB500 operates on an entirely different scale. TB500 or thymosin beta 4 is where things get genuinely fascinating. Thymosin beta 4 is found in virtually every cell in your body. Its primary job is to regulate actin, a protein responsible for cell structure, movement, and repair. When tissue is damaged, actin needs to be rapidly reorganized so cells can migrate to the injury site and begin rebuilding. TB500 accelerates this process dramatically. It reduces inflammation, promotes cell migration, and has been shown in studies to regenerate heart tissue, nerve tissue, and muscle fibers. Here's what separates TB500 from BPC157. It works systemically, meaning you don't need to inject it near the injury. It travels through the bloodstream and finds areas of damage on its own. It's essentially a search and repair signal. It was famously used in racehorses before it was ever studied in human contexts, which tells you how powerful the veterinary and performance world found it before. Mainstream medicine caught up. For systemic recovery, 2 to 2.5 milligrams twice a week is the commonly used research protocol. Now here's where elite users separate themselves from casual users. BPC157 and TB500 are synergistic, meaning they work better together than alone. BPC157 handles the localized repair and vascularization, building blood vessels. TB500 handles the systemic inflammation and cellular migration. They attack injury from two different angles simultaneously. This combination is sometimes called the Wolverine stack in performance circles, named after the Marvel character's regenerative ability. Sounds dramatic, right? But the results people report are genuinely hard to explain with conventional recovery timelines. Now here's an anti-inflammatory peptide that nobody talks about. KPV is a tripeptide, just 3 amino acids long, derived from the hormone alpha-MSH, alpha-melanocyte stimulating hormone. It's one of the most potent anti-inflammatory peptides discovered, yet it barely gets mentioned in the recovery space. What makes KPV special is its ability to directly enter the cell nucleus and inhibit inflammatory pathways at the genetic level, specifically blocking a protein called NF-κB, which is the master switch for chronic inflammation. Most anti-inflammatory drugs work downstream of this switch. KPV goes straight to the source. For athletes dealing with chronic tendinopathy, long-term tendon inflammation, joint inflammation, or inflammatory bowel conditions that affect recovery, KPV is a serious tool. It can be taken orally, which is rare for peptides that retain effectiveness, making it more accessible than injectables. Then there's GHK-Cu-copper peptide, which is perhaps the most underrated peptide in the entire recovery space. Most people know it from skincare. What they don't know is that it does something far more significant internally. GHK-Cu resets gene expression in damaged tissue. Studies have shown it can modulate the expression of over 4,000 human genes, reactivating those associated with tissue repair and regeneration while suppressing those linked to inflammation and tissue breakdown. It essentially reprograms old or damaged tissue to behave like younger, healthier tissue. It stimulates collagen synthesis, promotes nerve regeneration, and has demonstrated the ability to reverse lung tissue damage in animal studies. For recovery purposes, GHK-Cu is particularly powerful for connective tissue injuries, tendons, ligaments, cartilage areas that notoriously lack blood supply and heal slowly. It gives the body better raw materials to rebuild with. Here's the part most content skips entirely. Peptides don't work in isolation from your biology. Timing matters. BPC-157 and TB-500 are most effective when your body is in a parasympathetic state, rest and digest mode. Injecting post-workout, before sleep or during rest days amplifies their effect, because growth and repair happen when your nervous system is calm, not activated. Second, cycling matters. Most protocols suggest 8 to 12 weeks on, followed by a 4-week break. This prevents receptor desensitization, where your cells stop responding to the PIN signal because they've been flooded with it for too long. Third, peptides are not a replacement for proper nutrition. Collagen synthesis requires vitamin C. Tissue repair requires adequate protein. If your nutrition is poor, you're limiting the raw materials these peptides need to do their job. Remember, your body is not a passive system waiting for time to heal it. It's an active, signal-driven machine, and peptides are some of the most precise signals we've discovered. BPC-157 for local vascularization, TB-500 for systemic repair, KPV for killing inflammation at the root, GHK-CU for rebuilding the very architecture of your tissue. This is not magic, it's biology. Just biology most people aren't taught about. Now, before you go, an important note. Almost everything covered in this video is based on preclinical research, meaning most of the evidence comes from animal studies and early-phase human data. None of these compounds are FDA-approved treatments. None of this is medical advice. If you're dealing with a serious injury or considering any of these compounds, talk to a physician first. Being informed is powerful, but being informed and working with a professional is smarter. If this opened your eyes to something new, if you walked away knowing something today that you didn't know an hour ago, that's exactly what this channel is built for. Most of this information exists in research papers and clinical journals that the average person will never read. Our job is to bring it to you in a way that actually makes sense. If that's something you want more of, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We go deep so you don't have to. See you in the next one.